Golden Blue Dude back with another video just for you. So if you're a college football fanatic, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button because it is a long off season and I'm here to get you through it. And also go check out our Patreon page. A lot of time and effort going into that. I call my Patreons the shot callers because I let them call the shots with video ideas and what teams I'm going to do the preview and predictions for first. We also have a great website designed and created by Joey Foster. We have 8 great writers led by our head writer Michael Walker. And I can't forget about a merchandise store. A lot of great stuff over there. In fact, I bought 2 t-shirts myself, the gold one and the blue one. So I'm sure you'll find something as well. Today I want to talk about the conference that will remain once the dust settles after all this conference realignment is done and over with. First of all, I think the SEC and the Big Ten are safe. They don't have to do anything. They'll probably do more, but they don't need to do anything. So I have the SEC and the Big Ten safe. They will remain no matter what happens. Now for the other 3 conferences, the Big 12, the ACC, and the Pac-12, they actually do need to do some stuff if they want to remain a power conference or even exist after the dust settles. So in order for those other 3 conferences to remain after the dust settles, I have some things that they need to do. First, we'll start off with the Big 12. First thing the Big 12 needs to do is keep West Virginia. I've said it many times, West Virginia and the ACC are talking. However, it's not a done deal. And West Virginia will have a choice between the Big 12 and the ACC. So step number 1 for the Big 12, you got to keep West Virginia from going to the ACC. And there's 2 sides of the fence on this. They will make a lot more money in the Big 12 depending on this new TV contract. The Big 12's current TV contract is up in 2025, but still the new one's probably going to be better than the current ACC TV deal. But on the other side of the fence, travel will be much easier in the ACC for West Virginia, and they would get to play their rivals every stinking year. So there's a lot of things to weigh and figure out which side you want to be on. Big 12 needs to make sure that they fall on the right side of the weights. Next thing they need to do is probably start eyeing teams from the ACC. The ACC is vulnerable right now. They have a terrible TV contract. I'm talking about teams like Pitt, Virginia, Virginia Tech, Louisville, the North Carolina schools, all of them. North Carolina, NC State, Duke, Wake Forest. You don't have to get them all, but try to get one of them at least. And even the Florida schools. Remember, the Big 12 now has UCF. So they could try to go after Miami and Florida State. So that leads me to my next point. Stop going after Group of 5. You got the cream of the crop. I don't think any more Group of 5 teams are going to help your brand. So start eyeing Power 5s and stop adding any more Group of 5 teams. It's not going to help anymore. On top of that, you could turn your attention west and start eyeing some Pac-12 teams. Teams like the Arizona schools, talking about Arizona, Arizona State. Also Colorado and Utah. I think any of those 4 teams or all 4 of those teams would fit well in the Big 12. Next point is do not be like the ACC and get locked into a bad TV contract. The current TV contract will expire in 2025. They'll get a new one. Don't do like the ACC and negotiate your way into a terrible TV contract. And finally, create a Big 12 network. Keep your streaming services, but definitely lock down a network deal as well. I think that would help out the Big 12 a lot. The next conference, the ACC. What does the ACC need to do in order to still exist and be a Power 5 conference? I would say add quality teams ASAP. Yes, I'm talking about West Virginia. West Virginia is a quality team, especially for the ACC. West Virginia has a ton of rivalries in the ACC. I already gave you the numbers for viewerships in West Virginia's top 30, and that's not even playing their rivals on a year in and year out basis. And it would help the numbers of West Virginia rivals as well. Win-win. And you gotta get Notre Dame to commit. Even if it means counting their traditional games like Navy, Stanford, and USC as conference games for Notre Dame. And yes, of course, let Notre Dame keep that NBC contract, as much as that might sting. The next thing is simple. You gotta survive through 2036 with that terrible TV contract. That's not very attractive to other teams. It's not even attractive to the teams that are already in the ACC. So you gotta survive through 2036. The next thing is teams other than Clemson need to make the playoffs. The ACC needs to be relevant other than Clemson. Who won the ACC last year? Pitt. The one year that Clemson doesn't win the ACC, they don't make the playoffs. That has to change. And finally, this is a no-brainer. If you do survive through 2036, don't negotiate another terrible TV deal. Don't do it. Stay away from it. Get a lucrative TV deal. If you do that, you might have a chance to survive. And finally, the Pac-12. First thing is, well, make the playoffs. You haven't made the playoffs in 6 years. The Pac-12 is on the verge of not even being relevant. Some people would say they aren't relevant right now. You got to start making the playoffs. And the next point is the same point I made with the Big 12 and the ACC. Make sure your new TV deal is worth a fortune. Don't be like the ACC and negotiate your way into the terrible TV deal. The next key for the Pac-12 is try to entice some Big 12 teams. Teams like Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, and the Kansas schools. I'm pretty sure all 4 of those teams meet the current criteria for the Pac-12 for membership. And that would be a great addition for the Pac-12. And it would probably give you more games during times that people actually watch football instead of the Pac-12 at night. I'm sorry, that's just not working. The next thing for the Pac-12 is maybe start looking into the group of 5 teams such as Boise State, Colorado State, San Diego State, Nevada, Utah State, etc. But that's only if you relax a bit on your academic standards. I know that's a big thing for the Pac-12, but it could be your death sentence. That might be the one thing that might keep you from being able to keep existing. Like I said before, USC has talked to the SEC and the Big Ten. It is a real possibility that they could head over to the SEC or the Big Ten and bring a UCLA or Oregon and maybe even a Cal with them, or all 4 of them. You got to start thinking about relaxing those standards. I'm not saying do away with them, but just relax them a little bit. We're thinking about the future. We're not thinking about the past anymore. And finally, this kind of went with what I just said. Keep USC, Oregon, and UCLA at all costs. Those are your biggest brands. Those are your biggest money makers. If you want to keep existing in the future and keep being a Power 5 conference, you must keep USC, Oregon, and UCLA. That's an absolute must for the Pac-12. So I guess the question at this point is, who's it going to be? Which of these 3 conferences are going to make the right decisions and keep existing and keep being a Power 5 conference? We already know that the SEC and the Big Ten, they're going to be fine. They don't have to do anything. But the funny thing is, they probably will do more stuff. So the question is, out of these other 3 conferences that are in danger, who's going to get it done? I've given them all the advice that I can give. I don't know what they're thinking as far as the corporate offices go, and the commissioners, and the board of trustees, and whoever else makes decisions. I don't know what they're doing up there, but they will have to make some decisions in the near future if they want their conference to keep going and keep being relevant and keep being a Power 5. This isn't a maybe or maybe not situation. It's you either do it or you're going to fade out. There you go, my keys for the Big 12, ACC, and Big 10 to keep existing and being a Power 5 conference in the future. Y'all let me know in the comments section what you think of my keys. And if you have keys of yourself that you think that these conferences need to do in order to keep existing and keep being a power conference in the future. And I guess the other question for my viewers that I want to ask is, which of those 3 conferences, the ACC, the Big 12, and the Pac-12, do you think will make the right decisions and will keep existing and will keep being a Power 5? Because there will be some that will survive. Which one will it be? So that's another thing that I want you to answer in the comments. Let me know in the comments section. I really look forward to your comments on this one. That's all I got for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.